experience. And the devotees also that we were associating with had a lot of experience. So this term was spread around in our community, in the community of Vaishnava devotees. Is it recorded in Vanipedia? Well, we're researching. We've looked and we haven't seen it. But it doesn't mean he didn't say it. And certainly no one was criticized for repeating it by saying, oh, this is a fraudulent statement. Nobody. This was a common statement that was made back in the days when we were all part of this mission in real time with Srila Prabhupada. So as far as finding things in Vanipedia and justifying them, that's fine. That's a good thing. But not everything was recorded in Vanipedia. Like all the morning walks that we had in Toronto, are they on Vanipedia? No. Are the lectures that Prabhupada gave, all the sessions with Joseph O'Connell and the other people that we arranged for him to meet, are they on Vanipedia? No, in fact, it's very unfortunate that somehow or other, these devotees that were running the media excluded Canada, even though we bought the biggest temple in North America for Prabhupada, and he came and celebrated it with us. There's very little record in the Satsrup version of Leelamrita, and very little reference in any of Hari Sori's memoirs, which are also incorrect. Incorrect. How the building was bought, how we did the grand opening, how everything unfolded is not recorded properly by our God brothers for whatever reason. So everybody just understand this. We're giving some good insight to everyone on how Prabhupada was managing his movement based on our practical experience, period. So this is something very important for us to mention today so that everyone gets a proper perspective. We just don't, our group does not just speak, oh, Prabhupada said this or that, and fraudulently misrepresent him. We do not do that. Some people think. They can think whatever they want. That's their choice. They could say whatever they want, but we do not do that. We stand to be corrected if there is a mistake. But as far as we're concerned, I mean, this statement about work now, samadhi later, it was a common statement. And the understanding is very simply, you simply take up devotional service with sincerity and let Krishna reveal everything to you in due course of time. Like Prabhupada in his mission, he was always focused on the order of his spiritual master. And we're going to go to the diaries of Srila Prabhupada from 1965. And in that, we're going to see how Prabhupada was plotting his journey to America meticulously. And he had that diary that was given to him by the Scindia Steamship Company. He picked one up and started to use it. And in July, Friday, July 9th, we carry on from that date. So if Vinkat Bhatta could please bring up the diaries, we can start to see these different things to do that Prabhupada was carrying on with to be able to execute his mission, Daniel, his mission of spreading Krishna consciousness to all of us. Friday, the 9th of July, 1965, to see the bank manager and Mr. J.M. Chosky, passport number 1-276896, DT Delhi 10665. And there's the writing to the right. Saturday the 10th at 3 p.m. to phone Sri Brajlal Seth, and at 4 p.m. to see Gokul Das Somya. And on Sunday at 8 a.m. to phone Tarachand Gupta. So all in preparation. And here to the right, look at this beautiful page here. Here is, look at that. Isn't that amazing? We're seeing Prabhupada's passport. Hey, Daniel, look at that. Is that something magic? And real for us, very real. Look at that. And Prabhupada's picture, look how serious he and sober and focused he was in that photograph. Rather thin there, actually. Above and top right, Srila Prabhupada experienced no difficulty in obtaining his passport, and with the help of his friend and sponsor, Krishna Pandit, it was issued to him on June 10th, 1965. And then obtaining the visa to the right side there at the bottom, however, proved more difficult. Of course it would. It was not until July 28th, after much endeavor, and with the help of Mr. Chosky from the Scindia Company, that it was finally approved. I wanted to mention this, that the reason Prabhupada got this opportunity was because Krishna made the arrangements. Krishna is in charge of everything. On Monday, the 12th of July at 6 p.m. to meet Mr. Pandiwala, the chartered accountant. Banger Brothers Private Limited, Netaj Subhas Road, Calcutta. And then moving forward to July 21st, Mere Flex Part was purchased at ₹1 ACB. And passport, Friday the 23rd, passport with Chosky for showing to Panchal. And here we go. Saturday the 24th. Look at that. Sleeping berth on 1865. That's the date for Howrah, reserved. Ticket number 49031. Departure 24th, 765. Paid rupees 4270. Reservation ticket number. So he's taking the train. Train starting at 1900 hours. If you've ever traveled on the train in India, it's quite a it's quite the experience. We've been on the trains quite a bit. It's different than North American facilities. It can be very austere, but interesting. Very adventurous. Prabhupada was a tremendous adventurer. Believe that. Very, very, very adventurous. And Krishna is the chief adventurer. July, Tuesday, the 27th, P form 63753, pass number 11012, departure 27765, Reserve Bank of India. And on Wednesday, the 28th, rupees 25, remitted by MO to Gaurachand Goswami before leaving for USA. June, July, August, September to October. My P form and visa for USA obtained by Chokshi. So Prabhupada's getting very excited here because it's unfolding. His opportunity is unfolding to get on the boat and travel over the ocean to New York City. Can you imagine, Prabhus? The excitement. Thursday, the 29th, Darwarkar delivered RDM, one package of books Srimad Bhagavatam 35, book by Universal Book House, Dadar to Calcutta, FP, under WPWB number B678078, DT 29765 from Dadar, FH, to pay rupees 7, might be 7 times 50. And that is as far as we're going to go today. But you can see the meticulous work that Prabhupada was doing to prepare for his departure to America on the greatest adventure of modern time, to deliver the conditioned souls out of the muck of Maya and Kali Yuga by his divine mercy. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Let's go forward with the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava and then our wonderful Bhagavad-gītā class, as it is, given by His Grace Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu. Hari Bol.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Pramad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavindra ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Girivardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Jamuna Mai ki jai. Tulasi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Narayanam namaskrityam. Narayanam namaskrityam. Naram cheva narottamam. Naram cheva narottamam. Devim saraswatim vyasam. Devim saraswatim vyasam. Tato jayam mudirayat. Tato jayam mudirayat. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, one, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, two, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, three, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then four, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. So welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Srimad Bhagavad-gita. Today we will read the introduction verses as given by Srila Prabhupada in the introduction to his Bhagavad-gita As It Is. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master who has opened my eyes, which were blinded by the darkness of ignorance with the torchlight of knowledge. Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunata Anvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha E Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastuti Tapta Kanchana Ghorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshware Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So again, welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Srimad Bhagavad-gita As It Is. We are reading from the original non-adulterated, non-interpolated, original 1972 Macmillan edition. All synonyms, translations, and purports and commentaries by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Today we'll be reading chapter 10, text number 4 and 5. Buddhir jnanam asammohaha kshama satyam dhamma shamaha sukham dukkam bhavo bhavo Bhayam cha bhayam eva cha ahimsa samata tushtis tapodanam yasho yashaha bhavanti bhava bhutanam mata eva pritagvida. Buddhi, intelligence, jnanam, knowledge, asammoha, freedom from doubt, kshama, forgiveness, satyam, truthfulness, dhammaha, control of the senses, shamaha, control of the mind, sukham, happiness, dukkam, distress, bhavaha, birth, abhavaha, death, bhayam, fear, cha, also, abhayam, without fear, eva, also, cha, and, ahimsa, non-violence, samata, equilibrium, tushtihi, satisfaction, tapaha, penance, dhanam, charity, yashaha, fame, ayashaha, infamy, bhavanti, become, bhava, natures, bhutanam, of living entities, mattaha, from me, eva, certainly, pritagvida, differently arranged. Translation: intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt and delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, self-control and calmness, pleasure and pain, birth, death, fear, fearlessness, non-violence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame and infamy are created by me alone. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The different qualities of living entities, be they good or bad, are all created by Krishna, and they are described here. Intelligence refers to the power of analyzing things in proper perspective. And knowledge refers to understanding what is spirit and what is matter. Ordinary knowledge obtained by university education pertains only to matter, and it is not accepted here as knowledge. Knowledge means knowing the distinction between spirit and matter. In modern education, there is no knowledge about the spirit, and they are simply taking care of the material elements and bodily needs. Therefore, academic knowledge is not complete. Asammoha, freedom from doubt and delusion, can be achieved when one is not hesitant and when he understands the transcendental philosophy. Slowly but surely he becomes free from bewilderment. Nothing should be accepted blindly. Everything should be accepted with care and with caution. Kshama, forgiveness, should be practiced, and one should excuse the minor offenses of others. Satyam, truthfulness, means that facts should be presented as they are for the benefit of others. Facts should not be misrepresented. According to social conventions, it is said that one can speak the truth only when it is palatable to others. But that is not truthfulness. The truth should be spoken in a straight and forward way so that others will understand actually what the facts are. If a man is a thief, and if people are warned that he is a thief, that is truth. Although sometimes the truth is unpalatable, one should not refrain from speaking it. Truthfulness demands that the facts be presented as they are for the benefit of others. That is the definition of truth. Self-control means that the senses should not be used for unnecessary personal enjoyment. There is no prohibition against meeting the proper needs of the senses, but unnecessary sense enjoyment is detrimental for spiritual advancement. Therefore, the senses should be restrained from unnecessary use. Similarly, the mind should not indulge in unnecessary thoughts. That is called shamaha, or calmness. Nor should one spend one's time pondering over earning money. That is a misuse of the thinking power. The mind should be used to understand the prime necessity of human beings, and that should be presented authoritatively. The power of thought should be developed in association with persons who are authorities in the scriptures, saintly person, and spiritual masters, and those whose thinking is highly developed. Sukham, pleasure, or happiness should always be in that which is favorable for the cultivation of the spiritual knowledge of Krishna consciousness. And similarly, that which is painful or which causes distress is that which is unfavorable for the cultivation of Krishna consciousness. Anything favorable for the development of Krishna consciousness should be accepted, and anything unfavorable should be rejected. Bhava, birth, should be understood to refer to the body. As far as the soul is concerned, there is neither birth nor death. That we have discussed in the beginning of Bhagavad-gītā. Birth and death apply to one's embodiment in the material world. Fear is due to worrying about the future. A person in Krishna consciousness has no fear because by his activities he is sure to go back to the spiritual sky, back home, back to Godhead. Therefore, his future is very bright. Others, however, do not know what their future holds. They have no knowledge of what the next life holds. So they are therefore in constant anxiety. If we want to get free from anxiety, then the best course is to understand Krishna. and be situated always in Krishna consciousness. In that way, we will be free from all fear. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that fear is caused by our absorption in the illusory energy, but those who are free from the illusory energy, those who are confident that they are not the material body, that they are spiritual parts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and are therefore engaged in the transcendental service of the Supreme Godhead, have nothing to fear. Their future is very bright. This fear is a condition of persons who are not in Krishna consciousness. Bhayam, fearlessness, is only possible for one in Krishna consciousness. Ahimsa, non-violence, means that one should not do anything which will put others into misery or confusion. Material activities that are promised by so many politicians, sociologists, philanthropists, etc., do not produce very good results because the politicians and philanthropists have no transcendental vision. They do not know what is actually beneficial for human society. Ahimsa means that people should be trained in such a way that the full utilization of the human body can be achieved. The human body is meant for spiritual realization, so any movement or any commissions which do not further that end commit violence on the human body. That which furthers the future spiritual happiness of the people in general is called non-violence. Samatha, equanimity, refers to freedom from attachment and aversion. To be very much attached or to be very much detached is not the best. This material world should be accepted without attachment or aversion. Similarly, that which is favorable for prosecuting Krishna consciousness should be accepted. That which is unfavorable should be rejected. That is called samatha, equanimity. A person in Krishna consciousness has nothing to reject and nothing to accept unless it is useful in the prosecution of Krishna consciousness. Tushtihi, satisfaction, means that one should not be eager to gather more and more material goods by unnecessary activity. One should be satisfied with whatever is obtained by the grace of the Supreme Lord. That is called satisfaction. Tapas means austerity or penance. There are many rules and definitions in the Vedas which apply here, like rising early in the morning and taking a bath. Sometimes it is very troublesome to rise early in the morning, but whatever voluntary trouble one may suffer in this way is called penance. Similarly, there are prescriptions for fasting, but because of his determination to make advancement in the science of Krishna consciousness, he should accept such bodily troubles which are recommended. However, one should not fast unnecessarily or against Vedic injunctions. One should not fast for some political purpose. That is described in Bhagavad-gītā as fasting in ignorance. In anything done in ignorance or passion does not lead to spiritual advancement. Everything done in the mode of goodness does advance one. However, in fasting done in terms of the Vedic injunction, enriches one in spiritual knowledge. As far as charity is concerned, one should give 50% of his earnings to some good cause. And what is a good cause? It is that which is conducted in terms of Krishna consciousness. That is not only a good cause, but it is the best cause. Because Krishna is good, his cause is also good. Thus, charity should be given to a person who is engaged in Krishna consciousness. According to Vedic literature, it is enjoined that charity should be given to the Brahmanas. This practice is still followed, although not very nicely in terms of the Vedic injunction. But still, the injunction is that charity should be given to the Brahmanas. Why? Because they are engaged in higher cultivation of spiritual knowledge. A Brahmana is supposed to devote his whole life to understanding Brahman. A Brahma Jana is one who knows Brahman. He is called a Brahmana. Thus, charity is offered to the Brahmanas because since they're always engaged in higher spiritual service, they have no time to earn their livelihood. In the Vedic literature, charity is also to be awarded to the renouncer of life, the sannyasi. The sannyasis beg from door to door, not for money, but for missionary purposes. The system is that they go from door to door to awaken the householders from the slumber of ignorance. Because the householders are engaged in family affairs and have forgotten their actual purpose in life, awakening their Krishna consciousness. It is the business of the sannyasis to go as beggars to the householders and engage them to be Krishna conscious. As it is said in the Vedas, one should awake and achieve what is due him in this human form of life. This knowledge and method is distributed by the sannyasis. Hence, charity is to be given to the renouncer of life, to the Brahmanas and similar good causes, not to any whimsical cause. Yashaha, fame, should be according to Lord Chaitanya. We said that a man is famous when he is known as a great devotee. That is real fame. If one has become a great man in Krishna consciousness and it is known, then he is truly famous. One who does not have such fame is infamous. All these qualities are manifest throughout the universe in human society and in the society of the demigods. There are many forms of society. There are many forms of humanity on other planets, and these qualities are there. Now, for one who wants to advance in Krishna consciousness, Krishna creates all these qualities, but the person develops them himself from within. One who engages in a devotional service of the Supreme Lord develops all the good qualities as arranged by the Supreme Lord. Of whatever we find good or bad, the origin is Krishna. Nothing can manifest in this material world which is not in Krishna. That is knowledge. Although we know that things are differently situated, we should realize that everything flows from Krishna. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, who has opened my eyes, which were blinded by the darkness of ignorance with the torchlight of knowledge. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, who is very dear to Lord Krishna on this earth, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Our respectful obeisances are unto you, O spiritual master, servant of Saraswati Goswami. You are kindly preaching the message of Lord Chaitanya Deva and delivering the Western countries, which are filled with impersonalism and voidism. Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Let me offer my obeisances unto my Guru Maharaja, who is a disciple of Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is always calm and joyful, and who bears the name Bhaktivedanta. Bhagavad Bandhanam Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatihi Visheshataham. Worship of the Supreme Lord is naturally very sweet, just like milk is originally sweet. Just as milk becomes sweeter by adding a little sugar, in the same way, worship of the Supreme Lord becomes sweeter by first worshiping the bona fide Guru. Adadhanastrinam danteridam yache punaha punaham Srimad Rupa Padam Bhoja Dhulisyam Janma Janmani. Clasping a straw between my teeth, I repeatedly beg to attain the dust of the lotus feet of Srimad Rupa Goswami, birth after birth. Amsho Bhagavatosmyaham Sadadaso Asmi Saravata Tat Kripa Pikshaku Nityam Tat Preshta Sat Karomishvam. I'm a tiny part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and am always in every way His eternal servant. As I'm always hoping for His mercy and kindness, I offer myself to His most dear servitor, my spiritual master, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So here we have a list of various transcendental qualities, important qualities, and Lord Krishna is explaining that all of these qualities come from Him. They are created by Him alone. This is important to understand, because we see in human society there are so many different varieties of human beings, both men and women, some civilized, some non-civilized, some intelligent, some less intelligent, which various living beings are endowed, human beings are endowed with certain qualities based on their past karma, past activities. So in this life, they're giving a chance to resume their march back to Godhead. Very important point, because we see that some people have very little interest in pursuing spiritual life. Very little interest. We will see later on in the Bhagavad-gītā how Lord Krishna explains Dvabhuta sarvalokesmin deva asura evacha, that there are two kinds of living beings in this world, The Deva and the Asura, those who are devotees of God, those who are against the authorities of God, are the demons. Also in the Vishnu Purana, the same verse is given. It is explained, Vishnu Bhakta Smrito Deva, Asuras Tadviparyaya. Those who are Vishnu Bhaktas, devotees of Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna, those are the saintly persons. And those who are against the authority of Lord Vishnu, Asuras Tadviparyaya. Those who are against the authority of God, they're considered asuras or demons. There are many characteristics of each devotees, of each group. So here Lord Krishna is describing nicely. Prabhupada explains in the purport, the different qualities of living entities, be they good or bad, are all created by Krishna, and they are described here. Now, it's important to understand that in spiritual life, in transcendental life, it is explained in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. He says, Bhadra Bhadra Sakala Manodharma. Whether something good or bad, this is all mental concoction. Manodharma. Because Krishna consciousness, the practice of Krishna consciousness, is transcendental to all good qualities, bad qualities. Of course, a devotee develops these various qualities. We see in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, our Lord Krishna describes how those who are Vaishnavas, devotees, they develop all the good qualities of the demigods. And those who are non-devotees have no good qualities. One doesn't have to separately endeavor, because the question may come up, well, how did they get all these qualities? One doesn't have to separately endeavor to acquire each one of these qualities. Simply one has to follow the path, the proper path of Krishna consciousness. The path of devotional service as given by the Acharya Srila Prabhupada is sufficient to develop all good qualities individually and in human society. Just yesterday, I had the experience of receiving some communication from a lady in India. And she was asking me about Krishna consciousness. Whether one experiences a breakthrough in the practice of Krishna consciousness, and what is that breakthrough? Well, this is the power of bhakti as given by the Acharya. The power of devotional service is very powerful. We see in the Srimad Bhagavatam, when we read the Srimad Bhagavatam on Sunday mornings, how Shukadev Goswami explained, Nashta prayesha babadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. That if one engages in this bhakti process, all the negative influence of the mode of passion and ignorance are washed away. Now, this is quite significant because most of the troubles in this material world all come from the activities of mode of passion and ignorance. That's why we see in the Kathopanishad, Uttishtata jagato prapya, that wake up, get up from this ignorance. Tamasyama jyotirgamaya, come out of the darkness, go in the light. What is that light? That light is the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad-gita. That is very powerful. We've often discussed how the great sages of Nimesharanya asked Sutta Goswami, now that Krishna has departed from his own abode, where are the principles of religion? Where do they reside? How do living beings get shelter? And the answer is in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now we will be celebrating a very special festival tomorrow, The actual festival is on Tuesday, November 14th, but for practical purposes, we'll assemble in Sacramento, California, the capital of California. We'll have a very nice kirtan, readings, abhishek, and this will all be recorded. This will be tomorrow at 10 o'clock California time, Pacific time, 1 o'clock Eastern time. We invite everybody to participate. This will be very, very enlivening. Bhakta Ram Prabhu, Bhakta Ram will be hosting the program at his temple. He has a Gaur-Nitai temple in Sacramento. So this will be very, very fascinating because several devotees, several persons and guests are expected to attend. Soon after this program finishes here, I'll be going to Modesto and then to Sacramento. Modesto is in the Central Valley. So we invite everybody to participate with that program and get a lot of good spiritual advancement. I've posted 2 verses here, which are given in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, especially the first one. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited Govardhan Hill during his manifested presence in 1515 AD, he recited that verse. It says, Vamas tamar sakshasya bhujadandaha sapatuva kridakantu katamyena nito govardhana girihi. May the left arm of Sri Krishna, whose eyes are like the petals of a lotus flower, always protect you. With his left arm he raised Govardhan Hill as if it were a toy. This is quoted from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and also from the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 1838. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Yaśodā-nandana, for your wonderful explanation of this particular verse and purport by Srila Prabhupada, which is very detailed, I must say, and it's something that we can constantly refer to in our study of this philosophy of Krishna consciousness, which is quite specific in many matters, like the freedom, Amsoha, freedom from doubt and delusion, can be achieved when one is not hesitant, when he understands the transcendental philosophy. Slowly but surely he becomes free from bewilderment. Nothing should be accepted blindly. It should be done with careful study and understanding in the association of the spiritual master and the devotees of Lord Krishna, the devotees, the disciples of the spiritual master. So Prabhupada mentions about forgiveness. He discusses truthfulness. Very interesting explanation of truthfulness. Truthfulness demands that the facts be presented as they are for the benefit of others. That is the definition of truth. I thought this was very relevant, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, because we put a post on Facebook yesterday in the Prabhupada Disciples Association, which has 12,400 members, and it's expanding gradually. And it was about concerning the matter of the disciplic succession and how it should be explained to new people. And I was reading a section or quoting a section from Sri Upanishad from verse 12. And in the purport, Prabhupada articulately explains that those persons that assume the role of a guru, the business of a guru, they are on a slippery slope a very dangerous path because they're posing as Uttama-ācārya. So that's a truth that has to be understood. Now, actually it was a devotee from LA who incidentally came to Hamilton here in 1971 and opened the Hamilton Yatra with her husband. And she, is, of course, a great soul and very, how can I say, dynamic as a devotee of Krishna, very dynamic. And we do offer all our humble respects to her, because she was an instrument to help the 18 Prabhupada disciples that joined from Hamilton become devotees. So absolutely, we have no disrespect for this Mataji, totally. And she knows us quite well, having been part of the preaching work in Hamilton in those early days before being moved to Toronto. So she sent me a note. She said, "Oh, why is it that the devotees continue to bring these matters up concerning the untruthfulness that's present in the ISKCON movement in 2023? Just let that go and we can carry on." So I responded to her by saying, this is not just a simple matter of let's forget about it and it's no big deal. It is a very big deal that truthfulness has to be explained properly, Vijay Pandit. We cannot ignore the facts that this movement has been, as I wrote back, has been taken from the disciplic succession, from Prabhupada's mission, and it has been exploited. And it's not a small thing. It's $1 billion ripoff. $1 billion. Now, someone could say, well, how can you say that? Because of all the assets that were there. For example, the Toronto Temple is worth over $45 million alone. The Vancouver Temple is worth over $35 million alone. And a lot of these properties that existed, like the building in New York City that was sold illegally by a certain group of people, would be worth hundreds of millions of dollars right now. What happened to all of this development that went on when Prabhupada was with us? I was in New York City in that building back in the 70s. It was a magnificent, glorious achievement. But due to the work of a few people, it became non-existent. So this is not a small thing. It's a very big thing. And so sometimes truthfulness demands that the facts be presented as they are for the benefit of others. This is the definition of truth. Yaśodā-nandana, recently, I also put up a post. I got a letter from Kirtananda's group back in the 70s accusing me of not following the disciplic succession because they were proclaiming that this Bhaktipad was a pure devotee. And if I didn't follow his principles, then I would be doomed as well. Okay. So one devotee sent me a note about that. How is it that he was able to present himself to others and they still accepted what he was doing? Because he was lying. He was hiding in the closet, pretending, posing, posturing. These are facts that have to be still understood by people even in 2023. It's not that this thing just goes away. Oh, let's just carry on sentimentally and it doesn't mean anything. Truthfulness means, Prabhupada explains it there. If a man is a thief and if people are warned that he is a thief, that is truth. So that's our business. If the movement has been ripped off, if it has been misdirected, if it has been if it has been hurt by these people that have done this, then the truth must be spoken. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, if you could further elaborate. Microphone. Your microphone, Prabhu.
Hold on.
Yeah, there you go.
We see in the Chaitanya Charitamrita how Srila Prabhupada discusses an event that had taken place 35, 40 years earlier. We see in Prabhupada's books, he refers to historical events that took place hundreds of years earlier, during the time of Lord Chaitanya, after the time of Lord Chaitanya. So sometimes events that took place thousands of years ago, it's always a relevant point. What is the disciplic succession? And what does constitute a representative of the disciplic succession? Now, what we have, this bogus idea, this false propaganda, which I call a hoax, of a so-called appointed guru, which no one in the last 46 years has ever been able to pinpoint or factually prove when this appointment, this alleged appointment or purported appointment ever took place, is by propaganda. There was a conversation with Shyama Sundar and Srila Prabhupada regarding different European philosophers and world philosophers. So at one point they were discussing the communist system. And the point was made that how in Russia and China they had made so much progress to improve the condition of the people with communism. And Prabhupada at one point says, by propaganda, you can establish anything. But if it is not based on truth, eventually it will fail. And this is what happened to our movement. That whole appointment propaganda was not based on truth. It was a falsehood. Prabhupada did not appoint any successor. He did not appoint any Diksha gurus or initiating gurus. And this falsehood claiming that some disciple or some property belongs to me or any individual is complete nonsense. It's complete misrepresentation and misunderstanding of Prabhupada's statements. That is why after Prabhupada departed in 1978, no one brought out these so-called conversations that claimed that appointed them, because these conversations don't appoint anybody. They don't appoint anybody. And the way they try to circumvent that, they say, oh, Prabhupada said the GBC is the ultimate managerial authority. Well, be a good manager, but don't misrepresent what Prabhupada says. Don't suppress discussion. Don't suppress genuine dissent because somebody doesn't accept your interpretation. And don't threaten devotees. Don't kick out devotees. Why did you run across the river to various advisors? Who told you to do that? Where is the record? Where is the historical record of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda ever given the instruction to any of his leaders to run to various neo-mat advisors how they should run his movement, specifically with regards to initiation, succession, and everything? What is this nonsense? Anybody can do it. It's not very difficult to find out. You can go to any website, any of these search engines, and put the word Gaudiya Math, God Brothers, and there are so many instructions from Srila Prabhupada not to get involved in that same mistake that broke down the missionary activities, the mission of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. they imported the same nonsense idea in ISKCON. Same nonsense, same concoction, Gaudiya Math Part 2. And we've seen the result. I've often said that we've seen from a historical analysis, from a historical perspective, how some of the leading members of the post-1937 Gaudiya Math and some of the leading members of the post-1970 ISKCON have become some of the biggest deviants and in some instances the biggest debauchees. How do you explain that, Mr. so-called successor? When you challenge them to a debate to explain how and when were they actually appointed, they either become angry, they either remain silent, or they walk off or will issue any kind of nonsense explanation. I'm referring in the last few months of Prabhupada's manifested presence. The last few months, where was this appointment? Nowhere. And then they say, oh, Prabhupada appointed the GBC, but he didn't appoint the GBC to concoct a bogus philosophy. And then they made it worse in 1986, when it was time to try to rescue the mess they had created. Then they invented this election, guru by vote, guru by election, another political system. So one should be aware of such misleaders, people who misrepresent the philosophy. We've often discussed in these discussions here how in Bhagavad-gītā, in chapter 4, text 42, the last two sentences, Prabhupada is warning the devotees, a clear, direct warning to be aware of people who have their self-aggrandizement and misleading others. It's important. There are several times during Prabhupada's presence where this point was brought up. How is the disciplic succession broken? And Prabhupada said, when there are false spiritual masters, that's how it is broken. Another time he pointed out to a devotee in Australia, Ganesh, who asked the question. Prabhupada says, just like in my presence you are following, but if after I leave you do not follow, then it is breaking the succession. Another explanation, when the teachings were changed, when the teachings were not followed, just like we are seeing. He has seen the truth, has jumped to they have seen the truth. Who is they? Who is they? So we often discuss these things so that devotees, and every devotee should understand, do not listen to such persons. They are misleading. Sahajiyas. Mayavadis and Sahajiyas. Hare Krishna.
Yes, and that is the truth. Someone could say, we do not know. That's fair. You're entitled to your opinion, but we have our experience. And that experience is something we've lived through. And if anybody wants to further discuss this with us moving forward, we're not trying to simply focus on that. As you know, with our classes, we're focusing on Shastra. But in this particular case today, this purport brought out the point of truthfulness. Truthfulness demands that the facts be presented as they are for the benefit of others. We are not fault finders, Prabhus. None of us. We're fact finders, Daniel. We're looking for the facts, and the facts are blatantly obvious to those people that are following Prabhupada as the pure spiritual master of our movement, and not these fraudulent people that are misrepresenting him to other people moving forward into the future. This is a very serious issue. So like I said, we've got a very wonderful group of devotees here, senior godbrothers with us today, Janas Priya, Dharma Bhavana, Narasringha, and Paranjana Prabhu. And we'll get to your question after, Daniel. So please, just 1 second. We're going to ask Janas Priya in Hawaii, maybe he could share some insights with us today on the reading and discussion.
Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Haribol.
Yeah, I was there when this whole thing, like we were all there, and just imagine your god brother, your friend, all of a sudden he walks in and you're supposed to think he's God. This was propaganda. So, I mean, it's comical in a way, but these guys are so greedy, so blind, and so demoniac. Bottom line, so they had the plan to make Prabhupada's to the reason this is my personal feeling. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel that they adulterated Srila Prabhupada's books, so these books won't be led into universities. Once the book has been edited the wrong way, the universities cannot accept these books. So that was their mission, to quit Prabhupada's books going to universities and higher places of knowledge. I think this is a plan. That's my opinion. But anyhow, we seen the results. Now the society is already divided into so many fractions, and the disciples of the gurus are fighting against each other. And this is not what we experienced when Srila Prabhupada was on the planet. It was like such a nice family. You could go to any temple and you came home. As soon as you walk into that door, you were home. You God brothers. This is what Prabhupada established, and this is what we're trying to reestablish, this feeling that yes, Srila Prabhupada is very, very capable of taking us home. We don't need advice from anybody else. If you think you need advice from somebody else, well, good luck. Prabhupada has a long track record of being correct, and predictions that he told us, everything is happening. So we know this greatest mission was to establish these books. So we have to fight for these books. This is the most important thing, the books.
Mm-hmm.
As Prabhupada said it. He said, these temples might fail, the devotees might fail, but what will remain? My books. So we have to protect these books, even if we have to give our life. We need to be ready to give our life to protect these books. This is the greatest gift. And this was Prabhupada's greatest mission, was to write these books. And we're so fortunate. And he was disappointed when he asked several times, he will ask the Sankirtan devotees, well, how's the distribution going? And they go, oh, very well, Prabhupada. And Prabhupada will ask him often, are you reading, are you studying my books? And most of them were busy, of course, because they were out on the street 12, 14 hours a day, and then attend the programs. So they said, no, Prabhupada. And Prabhupada was very disappointed. I said, first I wrote this book for my devotees, and then for the general public. But these books, he took the time because he wrote those books. That's his gift to us.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to acknowledge this and value this knowledge, and at least touch the book. If you don't kind of read it, touch Prabhupada's book. And if you can open and read a word or a phrase or a chapter or a whole book, have a reading bench, and your life will be successful. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for those very profound statements. We're running out of time almost. It's 11:21 a.m. here in Hamilton, but we'll move forward with more comments and an answer to a question from Daniel. Dharma Bhavana in Dallas, Texas. Maybe you could share your insights.
Hare Krishna, my respect to all the devotees. Yeah, today's class we covered truthfulness, the beauty of the books, the original books, and the principle of parampara. So I've always been fascinated by this principle of disciplic succession. When I was a young devotee, I had questions maybe at the first Sunday feast I went to. And Bir Lakshman Prabhu, he explained that it's kind of like you have a mango at the top of a tree, many, many mangoes in a mango tree. And if you want to get the mango, somebody climbs up the tree to the top and they hand it to somebody who's below. That person grabs a hold of it and passes it to someone lower, and it gets to the ground without being broken. But if it's just dropped from the top of the tree, it becomes damaged and bruised. So that was, to me, at least a partial, very good explanation. So I think this Parampara, all these topics today are like very interesting. It's one of our best classes. And the verse that we spoke of is also, to me, one of the most fundamental verses because it has so many different concepts, like a devotee should be forgiving. And sometimes if you go to different types of kind of spiritual groups, they'll have a whole class about forgiveness, a whole class about peacefulness. And sometimes it can become mundane. But if we discuss these amongst the devotees in a transcendental way, then it becomes very interesting. That's all. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yes, the fact of the matter is, the truth is what we're interested in. We're fact finders, not fault finders. And I'd like to ask if it's possible, if not, just let us know, Narasimha in Northern California, if you could make a few comments moving forward. His microphone may not be working. How about our friend Paranjana? He always has some insights for us in these matters. And I know he's online because I see his beautiful artwork being presented in his unders. Haribol Prabhu, please share a few words with us on these matters this morning.
Well, I think Govardhan Puja is a good example of why Krishna disapproves of worshiping a conditioned soul.
Mm-hmm.
So this was the problem, although Indra is a greatly advanced person on many levels, and he's a great devotee on many levels, but because he's not fully purified, he can't be worshipped. And so it's the same thing with all of us. We think, oh, this is a very advanced devotee. We should worship this devotee. No, not yet. It's not going to work. We only worship that which is fully worshipable, which means it's fully pure and fully connected to Krishna. So Indra obviously had some doubts and some reservation about Krishna because he wasn't fully manifest yet on the Krishna consciousness platform. So that's the difference between what's called a Prakrita Bhakta or a Bhakta who still has anarthas or material contamination. He should never be seen as Uttama, and nor should such a devotee advertise himself as Uttama. If he has some material longings or some doubts, there's all kinds of doubtful people in our movement. They doubt what Prabhupada says. Why did Prabhupada say that? Why did Prabhupada say this? It seems controversial. Well, yeah, it's controversial if you have doubts. If you're not sure if this is the absolute truth or not. So don't worship that which is not worshipable. This is a very important instruction, and the whole Govardhan Leela is really centered around that whole concept. Haribol.
Thank you very much for that comment. Vinkat Bhatta, I believe that Daniel has a question. Is that right?
Yes. It's not really a question. I just wanted to ask Yasoda if you could take 1 minute and reflect on a special moment that he's had with Srila Prabhupada back in the day. I would love to hear it.
Well, there
Most
were quite a
definitely.
few. There were quite a few moments with Srila Prabhupada. When we were in India, it was somewhat of a different situation with Srila Prabhupada because a lot of times in America, Prabhupada would come to the airports. There would be large throngs of devotees trying to meet him. Whereas in India, we also had airport receptions there too, but we would be able to assemble in Prabhupada's room and discuss with him, ask him personal questions and everything. I had a personal experience one time, and there was a life member from Delhi that had come to visit Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan. This was in 1976 in the spring. And what happened is that this life member had brought a Pandit with him. In India, they still have a lot of Sanskrit scholars that study the Shastras and everything, or Shastri, they call them Shastris. It's like the equivalent of a PhD in Sanskrit, very learned fellows. So this fellow had been studying the Smritis, the different Puranas and the Manu Samhita. And the life member introduced his friend, the Pandit, to Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was listening to him. And the conversation went back and forth between Hindi and English. So then at one point in the conversation, he says, oh, he has studied Manu Samhita. And I was like, what? I had learned one verse from Prabhupada's books from the Manu Samhita. And Prabhupada says, yeah, you recite. So I recited that verse, and the Pandit, because he had brought some old palm leaf manuscripts in India previously, before they had paper printing, they would have these long palm leaf manuscript with indelible black ink. So he had brought one of these manuscripts of Manu Samhita and trying to show Prabhupada how this was such a very important literature, and Prabhupada was confirming. So I quoted one verse, and then Prabhupada says, just see these Westerners, how they have learned. They are not born in India. They didn't know Sanskrit. They are learned. Prabhupada was trying to be encouraging and credit to the disciple. But more important, Prabhupada was trying to engage these people, give them a chance to be engaged in his movement some way or other. So this was quite an experience with Srila Prabhupada. Not that I have any kind of qualification or anything, but Prabhupada really was trying to make an impression on that Pandit that they should do some service for the movement. So that was one little experience. Another time in South India, we had the opening of the Madan Mohan Temple in Hyderabad in August of 1976. And what happened there was a political situation in the city of Hyderabad. Hyderabad is in South India, South Central India, where many of our life members warned Prabhupada that if you do not get local Brahmins to do this temple ceremony, the opening, the local people will not accept this temple. They will boycott this temple. In South India, there's still a lot of caste consciousness out there. Prabhupada said, that is all right, we can get some Brahmins, and I was requested to arrange for 12 South Indian Sri Vaishnava Brahmins, followers of Ramanuja. So we got these Brahmins over there. They were very nice. They received Prabhupada at the airport. They brought him to the temple, and they had an elaborate big pandal with all kinds. Everything was ready for 3 or 4 days of ceremonies. When they open a temple in South India, it's like a big event. It goes on for 3 or 4 full days, all day. So when Prabhupada came there, they worshipped him, they touched his feet, they gave him garlands. And then Prabhupada gave a very interesting lecture. And he mentioned at the time that it is good to see that in South India, there are still some genuine, very good Vaishnava Brahmins. And Prabhupada was very happy. So later on, after the completion of the ceremonies, Prabhupada had one of his assistants call me up, and he told me that he wanted me to spread Varnashram Dharma in South India. And I said, Prabhupada, how am I going to do that? There's like 450 million people out here. He said, oh, it's very simple. You go out there, you take a van, take a couple devotees, and you arrange for cook some prasadam. You go to the villages. You go to the villages and you will see, they will take it up. They will take it up. And then Prabhupada pointed out to Sampat Kumar Bhattacharya, who was a very nice Vaishnava Brahmin who had helped Prabhupada's movement greatly since we first met him in 1972. So by 1976, he was very involved with that whole group of Brahmins. He says, well, he can help, because what happened is they were going to take Prabhupada to visit all the major big temples in South India. So they were going to make arrangements to give him like a grand royal reception, a big touring. But Prabhupada's health was not the best at that time. So that somewhere or other never materialized. But it was very interesting to see Srila Prabhupada's attitude, that he wanted to spread Krishna consciousness to all the villages, and very, very interesting. But the ceremonies were very successful, and some way or other, Prabhupada was very pleased with that. So just a few incidents. Hare Krishna.
Oh, thank you, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, and thank you, Daniel, for your inquiry from our speaker today, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, who's an ocean of information on the pastimes of Srila Prabhupada, and which are very vast. And we want to continue to invite you tomorrow to our Srimad Bhagavatam discussion and reading at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here in Canada and the US. And also remind you that tomorrow we'll also broadcast at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. There'll be a broadcast of the Govardhan Puja Festival. But Bhaktivedanta Singh is arranging that in Sacramento, California, with Yaśoda bringing the actual Shalagram Shilas from Govardhan Hill that he is blessed to have, and is part of our association to worship them at that ceremony. So that's a grand event for us. And I wanted to thank everyone, Joe Felice and Dr. Roy in Mississippi. I made a mistake the other day on his location. I apologize for that. Sometimes we have hundreds of people that are contacting us weekly with Krishna conscious questions and inquiries. Plus we're posting and running different things and focusing on propagating the Sankirtan movement according to Prabhupada's teachings as we learnt them in the early days, and we're continuing with them in these later days of 2023, moving forward into the future, and for the benefit of the entire world that we live in, which is in so much chaos and turmoil these days with all these wars that are going on. So thank you very much. Any last questions from YouTube? Vinkat Bhatta, our production manager in South India. Anything else?
No, Prabhu.
Okay, well, I guess that ends the program for this day. We're going to bring forward the chanting of Hare Krishna mantra led by Srila Prabhupada in the 60s. Please chant along with us and with Srila Prabhupada for these few moments, and then carry on and push on with your own sadhana and the Sankirtan mission in your area. All glories to the Prabhupada Disciples Association and the Hare Krishna Society.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.